chatter.
Okay, well, so we're going right now, and you doing all right, Francis?
I suppose.
Yeah. So Francis wants to. We settled on an apology, right? An explanation for something that was said last week, Francis.
I suppose. During last week's episode with Sean, we were talking video games. I had mentioned I'm a fan of the Metal Gear series.
I shouldn't be laughing about this right now, but I am.
In one of the most recent games, you get attacked by child soldiers, and I complained that you couldn't actually shoot them back. I did not imply that we should be shooting children. I was just saying if your food goes bad, fair is fair, right? All right, that's all I was saying. I want anyone to get all fucking mad because I was like, Francis wants to shoot. No, play it.
I'm glad. I'm glad that you had an opportunity to clarify your stance on, quote, killing child soldiers, end quote.
Just saying. It's a great game. You have so many awesome mechanics in this one game, but they just, omit one thing,
Yeah. So, Francis, this is kind of a big deal for you and I. This is our last episode before we take a break, but it's not a break that everybody will notice because we've just been working our fucking ass off for the last month because you and I, we're tired, man. We need a timeout for a second. But we love doing the show. So we've been double, triple, up to 3 episodes in a week, kind of stacking. And this is our last episode that we're doing before we take it's set to be a 7-week break. I keep telling myself it's probably going to be 5.
Yeah. And quite honestly, shit comes up, right?
Yeah.
We're
probably going to be back sooner than later. But it's still all kinds of crazy shit's going on. I don't think I had a chance to tell you this. I'm getting my implant, my missing tooth, on Monday.
Oh,
I know. So,
there you go.
And I get the final thing, and it's supposed to be 13 weeks after. So it'll be literally like 5 weeks or so after we come back, and then I get my fucking tooth finally. Yeah, big fucking deal, man. I've been waiting for that for a really long time.
Taking some time, clean, housekeeping, if you will.
It's so hot in here. I put in my downstairs air conditioner today, and I had to shut it off because it's too loud for the podcast. So I'm like sweating, fucking like a.
I am. My fan went out, just broke the other night. So after we get done recording, I am going to probably head to Sonic and get a giant fucking Route 44 ocean water, and just drink that shit all night till I pass out.
You and I, not to shed any light on real life and stuff, but you and I have been getting murdered in our real lives with job stuff and real life stuff and responsibilities, and you know what I'm saying?
I'm about one more bad thing away from happening before I just jump in my car and just drive until I run out of gas, get out and just keep walking.
Oh, I thought about doing that so many times in my life, and always what if, where would I go? What name would I use when I go to that new town, I probably shouldn't blow this up. Whatever, I'm going to blow this up. I had an alias that I used to use back in the day. It would always be Steve Borden. Do you know who Steve Borden is?
No, that's not the Limp Bizkit guitarist, right?
No, that's Wes Borland. Steve Borden is Sting, the wrestler's real name.
Okay.
But here's the rib. Sometimes I would use Gordon Sumner, and that's the musician Sting's real name. But do I look like Gordon Sumner? I could, with glasses, maybe.
Yeah, you could literally fool me.
I prefer not to go by Gordon. I prefer to go by Gordo,
Right here, Gordon. Here's your fucking room. Enjoy the night. Don't kill any hookers.
I used to work in this kitchen with a bunch of Mexican guys, and they used to call one of the guys who was the main boss, they used to call him El Gordo all the time. Oh, yeah. Do you know enough Spanish to know what that means?
Yeah.
But I asked one of the girls, I was like, what does that mean? And she started cracking up and told me she was making fun of him being pumpkin shaped.
Yeah.
So do you want to get down to a little bit of business real quick?
Do the thing.
Well, oh God, I just went blank for a second. Oh, wait, here I am. You know what motherfucking time it is? It's Spooky Dust Motherfucking Podcast! Ah! You motherfucker! Ah! That was a little one.
Yeah, I saw that.
But, again, hit the subscribe button, Francis.
I keep trying, and it just... Nope. You see, that just made the screen bigger. Oh, man.
Tell a friend you like Spooky Dust Podcast, and if you don't like Spooky Dust Podcast, go and fucking find something else to do. It's hot outside. Go outside and sweat,
Yeah.
dickhead. And silverraygun.com. Hit the subscribe button there. Find out a bunch of news, info, secrets on guests. Maybe
Stuff.
a picture of Francis poolside. We're going to get that OnlyFans going no time soon, right?
I'm waiting for that. That's when the real money starts making its
Oh,
way in.
and I literally almost forgot.
We need to get to the bottom of that.
It's like 4 weeks going and stuff, and like I can't get enough of it.
You need to figure out why it's there.
Or put something else there. I don't know, man. So let's get down to fucking business, man. Let's talk fucking our guest today.
Yep.
I am super excited for it, but this is a guest that I kind of didn't think that we had access to, and it just kind of happened out of nowhere. Which I didn't know how to even get a hold of this guest before. He was one of the people that we've talked about. We were talking with Oren Veit about this guy.
Yep.
Nothing but good things I've heard. And also I told him before we were talking in the green room, he's another guest I wasn't able to find any bullshit out about. Nothing.
I got some notes here. I got an interesting question to ask him.
Okay.
Which I believe is interesting.
We got all kinds of shit to talk about. We're going to go all over the place. So you want to bring him in?
Bring him in. Let's do it.
Doesn't look like blood.
Motherfucking Deklan Grant. My dude, how are you?
I'm just well. How are you?
Quite good. It's beautiful outside where you're at. I was just telling you that not too long ago. Sun setting, it's a picturesque almost.
It's comfortable. It's comfortable. They're actually having wildfires like an hour away from here. That's probably why it's so comfortable right now. It smells like campfire a little bit.
And it's giving that nice reddish glow to the sun.
Fucked up, right? But,
There's nothing more beautiful than
nice.
Nothing more beautiful than a burning building. You know what I'm saying? Just oh God, look at that. You know, I mean, you can. It's to the ashes, and then something new is reborn. It's beautiful.
You got to do it. Have you ever seen Gangs of New York?
Yes.
I haven't. I know Francis has.
When one of the fireworks caught one of the buildings on fire, the whole town started raiding that house for all their stuff while the house burnt down.
That was a great movie.
The movie's phenomenal. And then the guy says, "Oh, wait, guys, next door." There's nothing wrong with the house. They just started moving it.
Can we just get right into the shit, Francis?
Do it.
So Declan, we're gonna start off with some wrestling, okay? I went and I looked your career up, and you're. Oh, look, we got a little one wandering around. Look at that.
Yeah, she's going to be chasing Bubbles behind me for a little bit. So
nice.
This might come off as very wholesome, but my answers might not be.
Oh, that's cool. Well, so I mean, I saw that you started in 2020, so your career is relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
Before then, were you in the backyard at all, so to speak?
No.
What were you doing before then?
Just working. It was around the time period like I kind of phased away from skateboarding.
Okay.
I was like really just going to work and doing whatever on the weekends. And one day I just came across an ad for training because I always wanted to do it. I just didn't really have the money because some places it was like $1,500 to just sign up, and then another like $1,500 and stuff like that. I didn't have that money, so I seen an ad talking about that GCW was doing a school. It was only $100 free tryout and then $100 tuition. I was like, okay, sounds good to me. And yeah, long story short, here I am now doing the podcast.
Well, so I say this all the time. Don't mean to be a broken record, but I always try really hard not to do any research on any of our guests. But I looked some stuff up about you. I couldn't really find anything, so I had to rely on the best resource. Truly, Cage Match. Francis, you got to admit that too.
It's like the Wikipedia of wrestling at this point.
Do I have anything on Cage Match?
You do.
You totally do. Yeah.
Nice.
But one of the things, who trained you? Fuck, it has listed 3. Sometimes it could be wrong. Homicide, Matt Tremont, and Nick Gage. Is that factually accurate?
There's one more in there I like to add in there. Some people go, "Oh boy, Jimmy Lloyd."
What? I fucking love Jimmy Lloyd.
Are you fucking kidding me?
There was a few times when Homicide would be doing Impact, and Jimmy would just be at the compound. You know, Jimmy's going to run the class because he's the veteran. And I remember one day specifically, he comes up and goes, "You want to learn lucha?" And so the very little bit of lucha that you ever see me do, that the only lucha I possibly can do, that was all Jimmy Lloyd's teachings. Jimmy Lloyd is one hell of a luchador.
Right? That right there is just like, we always kind of talk about, like, you know, Mount Rushmore of deathmatch. I mean, it's like getting taught, like, to write songs by, like, the Beatles. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot possibly think of a more qualified, more esteemed group of people to learn from.
Also a tremendously, I assume, hard group of teachers, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we talked to Jess, who mentioned Homicide being kind of like a real, you know, hard ass, like, and then you add Gage and then Tremont, and then I'm sure Jimmy was just a natural born asshole of a teacher. Like,
believe it or not, Jimmy out of the bunch, Jimmy was the more like, it was easy to just sidetrack Jimmy and like start conversations and stuff, like talking about nonsense or whatever. So like Jimmy was more like, it was like a friend teaching you how to do wrestling moves, as opposed to Homicide teaching you how to do wrestling moves, which tends to, you know, leave you pretty banged up after the class because you do it 1,000 times.
Did at any point Nick Gage call you a pussy? Because that, to me, right there, if I could just get, like, we had Masada on a couple weeks ago, and he said that he would skewer both me and Francis, and like I'm still like on the fucking moon over that. Oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear in front of your little one.
I can't hear you. I got you.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, I did mean to swear, but I mean, getting called a pussy by fucking Nick Gage, like, there is just nothing cooler than that. As a fan, at least.
Yeah, but there's different circumstances. It's like, you know, at first it's like, damn, he's calling you a pussy right now. You better keep going. You better keep going. And then it's at a point where it's like you're damn near blacking out. Everything's getting woozy and fuzzy, and you got this man calling you a pussy still, and you're just like, motherfucker, shut up. So it has its pros and cons.
Fucking pussy, Declan Gray,
Yeah.
whatever your fucking name
Give me
is.
this shit. Yeah, I don't even think he knows my name still.
You know what? You know, you're pussy number 1. This is pussy number 2.
We talked about it a few weeks ago, and I'm sure we probably bring it up like from time to time. No, right now, I think Nick Gage is like the only announcer that I would want to hear. You know, whenever he does commentary, it's like I get nothing but fucking text messages from people being like, "Yo, did you just hear what he just said?" Yo, I mean, like when he did, he did last year's Tournament of Survival, right, Francis?
I think he did that. The biggest thing that I think one of his best works is when he did when he called the AJ Gray match in the VXS house.
And he kept calling it VHS.
He kept calling the promotion VHS. It was hilarious.
He's amazing, man.
You want Nick Gage commentary gold? Go watch old CZW when he would hop on commentary. He would constantly threaten whoever the commentator was. I'll rip your fucking face off. Shut up. What a maneuver. Oh, it was hysterical.
Your Nick Gage was actually not that bad, dude.
No, not at all.
He spent
Ring
many of
announcing.
classes.
Have you ever seen him ring announce?
No.
It's beautiful. It was actually my very first CZW show. Total Havoc. Thumbtack Jack and fucking Danny Havoc. He does the introductions for the both of them. It's so funny.
Oh man, I gotta look that up.
Yeah, it's gold. That's gold right there. I don't know what happened with Larry. I think he might have chased Larry out of the ring or something like that. He's just standing in the middle of the ring in a Giants jersey, just doing the ring introduction. He's like, "From Germany," and just stares at Thumbtack Jack.
I'm working my way
Oh,
through the
it's gold.
CZW Tournament of Death right now. I just finished 6,
Put it back. No.
but I've never seen all of them. I've seen occasional ones here and there, but man, I'm just loving all the death match. You know what I mean?
There's still a few I haven't seen. A lot of the ones, like a lot of the CZW I'll watch will either be like the really old, like beginning years up to like 2002, or I'll watch a lot of like when I went to them, like 2009, 2010, that era, just to
So-
like reminisce and relive them.
So you know what? Before we get too far out, we kind of always go back to the start for people that are kind of new on the show. So, how old were you when you discovered pro wrestling? Because I couldn't find that out. I couldn't find any info about that kind of stuff.
That I don't even have an age. My brother is like 10 years older than me, and he was really big, like Attitude Era, well, the end of the Attitude Era, that kind of era. So
Okay.
it was always on TV anyway, even when I was a baby. To the best of my knowledge, I can remember as far back as like 4.
Oh wow, man! So you were super little. So when you were a teenager, you said you skated. So I mean, did the wrestling thing kind of go to the side, and you're like, I think I like skating, or were you into both of them at the same time?
Every single month we were at CZW. We would go skate during the day, right under I-95. We had a little makeshift skate park we made out of like pallets we stole from Target across the street.
Yes.
We would skate during the day, and then come like 4 o'clock, we're putting the skateboards away and then running over to the arena and staying in line.
Wow,
Be
man!
there nice and early, yeah. I miss
Wrestling
those
and
days
skating,
so much.
Those two things right there will keep you literally like out of trouble because there's so much shit to do. Like, I mean, those are really.
He's like,
I don't know
well,
about keeping out of trouble. We still managed to get into a lot of trouble. It was just we had skateboards to kind of be our decoy or our escape, one or the other.
yeah, right, okay. So how old are you when you decided to get trained up?
You alone.
I always wanted to. Like it was always, especially when I started going to like CZW, it was always like a dream of mine and a goal of mine to pursue it. But it wasn't until I think I was like 21 when I finally just was like, oh, that's when I came across the ad for getting training.
Okay.
And just from then till now, it's just been I've done.
CZW is based out of Jersey, right, Francis?
That whole region used to be Delaware.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think now like they do a lot in Maryland,
Real.
but I don't know if they're still over in Blackwood, New Jersey. That's where they used to be, at least.
No.
But years ago they were always at the arena down near me.
Oh, okay, all right. Francis, you're just gonna say something?
Yeah. So when you kind of mentioned, you're big into the CCW stuff, you're obviously doing that, which lucky, that was happening in your area and you were able to do that.
It was in walking distance.
Yeah, like for a lot of us, we relied on tape trading and the
Yeah.
internet, and like we long after the fact, you were able to see it live, and that's kind of what you kind of mentioned. You saw that and you wanted to get into wrestling. Did you always want to get into the more hardcore stuff, deathmatch stuff, or you just was that like how was that introduction to that, and was that something you sought out to do?
Like, that's hard for me to say because like I always was into it. Like I always liked hardcore wrestling, and of course when I seen deathmatch wrestling for the first time, I was glued to it. But like when I first started training, I always like would say to myself like, all right, if anything, I'll only do a few of them because I was such a fan growing up. Like I I felt like I had to. And then it's
Okay.
like once I did one, and then I did another one, and then it's like dabbling around with certain like I call them deathmatch weapons. I was just like thinking to myself like, maybe jump in, and now I do death matches almost every month.
Because you were trained by like deathmatch legends, so
Yeah,
That's the
I
thing
can't
though. They
see
don't.
any other path other than the one that you're on. Seriously, you know what I mean?
That's the thing though. They with them, and especially like homicide. Homicide. Not that he was against death matches, but he would always say, "Don't get caught up in it," because the risk to reward ratio. It's you see deathmatch wrestlers go on a strong run for about 6, 7 years, some 10, 15, but like everybody gets tore up and you start to break down early. But I have so much fun doing it.
Francis, did you see the chair spot from over the weekend? I showed Lindsay this because it was too wild. Where there that was from over the weekend with where you were covering up Jess. Am I correct?
God. Yeah.
That was so awesome, but I also wanted to bring up to you because I watched the slow-mo replay, and people like you covered her and you got your head down, but the fans being fucking dicks, they were like throwing the chairs, but doing it with like precision, so like the end of the chair would come, like they were aiming at your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did it the last time. They did it the same exact thing the last time. The last time they did it, I had a stop sign over my head, and it sounded like a thunderstorm. It's bang, 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 bang. Every single chair hit that stop sign.
But like how like you watch the internet and people do like all the trick shots and like it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and people are just getting better and better and better. Back in the day, you'd go to throw a chair in the ring and your accuracy wouldn't be on. These motherfuckers are like, okay, now they're encouraging us to throw chairs, so we need to fucking hurt somebody, which is crazy because if they hurt you, they'd feel bad. But there were a few accurate shots that I was like, oh, ugh. That was some cringy moments.
I was going too. Whole lot of ooh, and and Beth is underneath me like, are you okay? I was like, I hope so. Let's just hope. Let's just hope.
Whenever I get hurt and my wife asks me if I'm okay, I always say probably, but it's such a dick thing to say in the moment. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. Let's find out,
Be happy you get it. You're okay. Usually, if she's not at the show and I like call her up after the show on my way home, like telling her everything that happened and everything. I say like something hurts, and oh well, that's what happens. That's on you. That's your fault. Like no sympathy at all. Like, gee, thanks.
Glad there's a support system for you there, Declan.
Oh my God, dude, I was terrified. I was in Miami like a month ago, and I cut my elbow. We used 2 light tubes throughout this whole entire match. Somehow I got a nice gash in my back, and I got a gash in my elbow. My flight is at like 5 a.m. I don't get back to my room until about 2, so I just said, fuck sleep. Like, I ain't got no other choice. I got to stay up. I used every single towel in this hotel room. There was so much blood all over the place. I cleaned everything. I did not stop bleeding. I was getting so paranoid. I called her. I'm like, yo, am I going to like bleed out or something? Because I can't go to the hospital. Like, am I going to bleed out on the plane or something like that? I don't know. That's your fault. Like, gee, thanks. Dude, I'm down here fucking paranoid if I'm worried if I'm going to die on an airplane. And you're just, oh, well, on you shouldn't have used the light tubes. Like, thanks.
All right,
I got
see you in 4 hours.
Uh-huh. Like, she comes back. Are you okay? You sure? I gotta make sure she's all good. Me, it's just like, fuck you.
Have either of you guys ever found blood in a hotel room that you've been staying in? Francis, have you?
Me? No.
Really?
Like blood left over?
Yeah, like blood on the wall or
Ew.
something. Like
That wasn't yours.
yeah, right.
No.
I stayed in a seedy hotel in Venice Beach, and my girlfriend was like, "We should take the painting above the bed down and see if there are bullet holes in the wall." Just as a joke, and there were bullet holes in the wall, and there was blood splatter on the wall.
Nice.
So we're like, we're leaving. We're checking out tomorrow morning. Get the
Yeah,
fuck out of here.
I have this tendency to be sort of like how do you say bourgeois when it comes to where I stay at a hotel? Yeah.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Can't take any rest.
No. And like, I mean,
But even like some high end hotels are like dingy in their own ways. Like you'll find something wrong with it.
Oh yeah,
Somebody else's hair on the fucking pillow or something.
that
Like,
shit never seems to fucking fail. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, showers all dingy and shit. There's no like, it's everywhere.
You know, Francis, I shouldn't even, whatever. It's another thing where people probably don't give a fuck. But when I was with my old band, we had this thing that we used to do when we were playing out of town and staying in a hotel. One of us would wipe our ass on one of the towels after we went to the bathroom and then hang it up on the, inside the wall where there's the ironing board. We would hang it up on the ironing board and then just shut the door.
See, and that's why I tend to avoid the $56 a night places because of that. So.
If you ever discovered a shitty towel in a hotel in West Virginia, it was from me. So fuck off.
Nice. I should
Nice.
have done that one. Between that one or somebody that has the balls to take a shit in a urinal, I salute you for that one. Good job on that.
People are savages that do that, man.
The logistics behind that. Maybe I just got shitty knees. I don't know.
They're doing it and they're like this. They're like, I mean, it's total. It's a total flex.
But it's like you can't even sit on a urinal because you're going to sit right on like the cake and all that other stuff. It doesn't go deep.
This isn't for my benefit. This is for all of you that are watching this. You know what I mean? It's like walking up to somebody and pissing on them. You're establishing dominance. There you go.
No, the bathroom at my job is fairly clean. It's a fairly clean bathroom. They clean them all the time. I went to the bathroom earlier. I went to go do the thing, and my phone fell out of my pocket and fell on the floor right next to the toilet, and I just stared at it. I was like, motherfucker.
Guess I don't got a phone anymore. Yeah, that shit's going in the garbage, man.
Yeah, fuck that.
So, but before we move on and stuff, I actually have to know, so I'm really fascinated with H2O as the school, and then now moving into just being a promotion. There's not a whole lot that I know about H2O other than what I've been able to kind of suss out on the internet. What is your experience with H2O? I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I'd kind of like a inside view, I
mean, to me, it's just the place, it's really all, I can't say it's all I know with wrestling, because I have done, other shows and stuff like that, but I don't know, there's something to it to where it's just, comfortability, it's one of them places where it's just yeah, I know I'm going, it's an outing for me. I don't really do much anymore. I stay to myself, I'll go to work, I'll come home, hang out with my daughter, and basically it. And then wrestling comes along, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm ready to cut somebody's face.
I love the whole how it was and I totally don't mean this in a bad way, so I hope it's not taken this way, but how it's developmental for deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, establishing a home base where you can perfect the camera stuff, because to be honest, there's a lot of deathmatch shows, and even for some of the bigger shows, the sound is always fucked up. People can't seem to figure out the correct lens to use. As a video editor, there's a lot of people sometimes shooting into the sun, that are outside, and it fucks up the
That's why I'm
there's
trying
so
to
many
keep my head
problems.
right here.
I literally have a sheet that just folds out, and and I'm like, oh, this is what I don't like. At H2O, all these problems were addressed, and it gives a place for we had Bloodstorm Pro from Oh man, you took one right to the
What
face. Look at that.
Smoking bubble.
I was just gonna say, are those smoke bubbles?
Yeah, she's hitting her vaping and blowing bubbles. So now we're blowing dirty bubbles.
That's so
Good
awesome.
parents, ain't we?
Yeah, you guys are killing it, man. Look at that, man. Those are some big ones. I'm
They're
impressed.
huge.
But I really like H2O just for that. You know what I mean? I think that
Mhm.
bringing people up. I mean, everybody has the interest in deathmatch, but learning how to do it the right way so people aren't out there getting killed. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. There's
instead
so
of
many
maybe
risks
having
with
like a, I don't mean this in a morbid way, but instead of having like a 5-year career, maybe you can get 10 or 15. Or instead of having a 10 or 15, maybe you can rock out a 30. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's all about how you approach what you're doing and how you are going about doing it. Like, I won't say like I go crazy in my matches, but I feel like I try to like do more of telling a story as opposed to just, oh, let's swing this, bleed, this, that, the third. Like, you gotta try to give the emotion behind it. Otherwise, you're just gonna kill yourself. 'Cause
I'm so glad that you
nobody's
said
gonna
that
be
because
satisfied until you get thrown off of something.
hey, I'm just like everybody else. I love the tubes, but there is a thing where it's tube, and people are getting hit in the head with tubes. And like
Mm.
I know I'm not one of the boys. I know I really don't have a right to say this, but when I
Hey,
see people break tubes,
I can't really say because I've done it too, but I know exactly what you mean.
when I see people break tubes over their head, why would I believe that the next tube is killing somebody? So I really am not a fan of seeing that. It kind of takes me out of the moment.
Mm.
But maybe I'm a
That's
dick.
how I feel about it. Like Jess asked me before too, like why is but like my thing is I even as much as like don't want to have a bloody promo picture. Like a lot of people, especially deathmatch wrestlers, their promo pictures is them bleeding. I don't want to have a bloody promo picture just for the simple fact I feel like what are people paying to see? They're paying to come see me bleed. Well, you just seen it for free on this flyer. You know what I mean? So like come to the show, you'll see what I look like when my face is all sliced up or whatever.
Okay, I like it.
That was just my theory on it, so I want to stick to that. Like no bloody promo pictures. I'll take them. I'll pose for them after matches, but I don't want to use it as the match. Like if I'm announced for a match, I don't want to use that bloody picture as the match graphic. You know.
I've been asking the last kind of run of people that we've had. We've had people that are we've had guests on our show that are either getting started or relatively new or that kind of thing. What if, let's say, NXT comes calling? Would you be open to going into the big time developmental? Because you know what they're going to do. Your name is gone. The beard is gone. They're going to dye your hair blonde.
Oh,
they're going to put you
I ain't
in a
got
pink
much of that
suit.
left.
Would you be
If
okay
they got
with
some
doing something
connection,
like that?
my whole thing is that see, and the only problem with like WWE is that it's not guaranteed. I'm
That's
in a
true.
position in life where I need something that's somewhat concrete. I have a family, I have other priorities other than wrestling. So it's like I need something that's more concrete than just, hey, here's an offer for $90,000. It's a developmental thing. Well, I can make about, if not 90, close to 90,000 by my shoot job. It's not worth it to me. I have benefits and my shoot job's guaranteed. I'm not going to get fired for just because they don't like the way I look or if their plans change. You know what I mean? Now, if it was like a guarantee, like if I developed something to where they're like, hey, here's X amount of millions, whatever, fucking right. I need a pink suit, the polka dots, the face paint. I'll be gold dust number 2. Sign off.
You know what the crazy thing is though? Like we're in a world right now where indie wrestling is so fucking hot and only getting hotter. Like, in economics, there's the boom and bust. It doesn't seem like indie wrestling is going to be busting anytime soon. You can't shake a shitty stick in any direction without hitting an indie promotion that's doing pay-per-views. You know what I mean?
Now, like to me, I feel like in a way, like streaming helped indie wrestling a lot, but also like in some ways, kind of maybe fucked it up a little bit, just for the simple fact it's like some people, especially after COVID happened and then all that lockdown shit dwindled down. Some people just think like, well, either spend $30 to go see the show live, or I could sit at home and watch it for fucking on somebody else's account. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the pluses is you're going to end up making new fans. You're going to end up being
Oh
exposed
yeah,
to
100%.
promotions across the country, across the world, even. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But also one of the negatives are you don't get the human contact of being in line at a wrestling show, sitting there and the sights and smells and people watching and the camaraderie with fucking
Like, dude,
people.
I'm sure you watched Backlash. You know, the last
Oh, yeah.
time that WWE went over to Puerto Rico, it was like, I think 2006 or something like that, supposedly.
I can't even remember.
2008. It was so long ago. Yeah, people in Puerto Rico have access. They could watch it on pay-per-view. They said, fuck that. We're going there. We're going loud. Like, they were looking forward to it. It was there for them. Like,
if you're a fan of deathmatch wrestling, watch it on TV, that's fine, but you have to see it in person. It's one of those things where, like, you got to see you got to feel the glass, you got to hear everybody go crazy. The first tube of the night, everyone's like, yeah, and it progressively gets more and more and more, and just I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it.
And I mean, when you're talking about indie wrestling, I know for me, and Dave knows this, like I support who I like, right? So, and a lot of the times it's the only place to get merch, right? Like if I want like a specific person's shirt, like do I go to Deathmatch Worldwide and wait 4 weeks? Like, no, like you go to a show, you interact with that person, right? I like that. I like being able to, purchase a ticket to see a person, but I also like express my appreciation for what you do by like coming over, saying what's up. Hey, I want to buy this shirt from you. Like, can I get a picture with you? Like, I as a fan, I like that interaction with a lot of the workers, right? Like, and
the meet and greets are so great. Think of all the weird ass conversations that we had with people. You know what I mean? Those are things like, man, I was in a conversation with Mickey Knuckles and Madman Pondo, and I have a photo from that, and I could literally stop watching wrestling tomorrow, and I'm going to cherish the hell out of that. That moment right there for me is just like, you know what I mean? It doesn't get any better.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Do you still watch wrestling? Like, other than I mean, obviously, I know what you do, but can you still appreciate like AEW, Impact, WWE?
More recent stuff, not really. Like, I'm a big like old wrestling fan. Like, I'm the type, I'll sit there with a smile on my face. What's the matter, Sid? Oh, I'm being called for. But I'm the big like old wrestling fan. I like throwback like shows, like old Starrcade.
Oh, dude, Declan, the best pay-per-view, in my opinion, tournament all time, Starrcade '89, Future Shock. Are you familiar?
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
Sting, Muta, Luger, Flair, Road Warriors, Steiners.
What one was it? What one was it with I believe Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine did the dog collar, and then they had Manny
Starrcade
Fernandez.
'83.
Was that '83? Manny Fernandez and fucking Abdullah the Butcher.
Yes.
That was
man,
beautiful.
Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine, those were some fucked up shots in the ear. Because you notice Piper, he's not bleeding from his forehead. He's bleeding out the ear, dude.
Oh, yeah. They were fucking each other up. That was a simple, all right, brother, sorry. Like, apologize now. Let's go do it. And they went out there and they fucking fought.
I saw a promo from them. Well, not a promo, but like a interview where they were talking about that match, and they were talking about how there really wasn't a build up for it, and the promoters were just like, "Yeah, just go in there and fucking wrestle around with each other." And they're like, this is a make or break moment for us. So we're going to have to go out there and do something. And like you said, it was like, we're going to shake hands right now, but we're going to give them something to talk about. And they went out there and just like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Wild.
Mm-hmm. They went out there like gentlemen and just started swinging. Came back to the locker room, smoked a joint, drank some whiskey, and collected their money for the evening. Went to the next town.
Man,
Dude, I'm real big with old wrestling.
That old NWA was like vicious, man. You know what I mean? Like Stan Hansen, like watching Stan Hansen beat the fuck out of people. Like that guy was a monster, dude.
I don't even know who. I couldn't even tell who the guy. I thought it was Dynamite Kid by the Trunks, but he was a Japanese guy. It's Stan Hansen versus this guy in All Japan. He gives him a fucking gut wrench suplex and just dumps him onto the guardrail. It's dumb. Boom! I was like, dude, Stan Hansen was a fucking animal.
And he'll come out and he'll be like chawing on a Blackwood, and it's like all just like spit, and he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass," and it's like all over his big, fat, sweaty belly, and just and then he's out there and it's blood and spit and sweat and just
rough as nails out there. What was crazy to me is like guys like that, like even like Harley Race, like they'd run an hour-long match with no problem. Harley Race smoked a pack of cigarettes in a night. Like he was a chain smoker. He was anybody that tells a story about Harley Race always goes, like, how the fuck did he run an hour-long match and just fighting the whole time, fighting?
Oh no, because that was back in the day when, like, I've been saying this, but like when wrestlers were like big old football players and shit, and there's an occasionally a suplex or a body slam, but the power bomb hadn't even become like prolific in wrestling, so they were just literally just, and that's the match, That
was back when they thought fucking concussions were just migraines. They treated concussions as like, fuck it, another concussion. Take this. See you in the next town. Cut me again. Like,
oh yeah, and if you see some of those guys, the foreheads are just—it's literal hamburger. You know what I mean?
Funny story. Very first time I ever hopped into a ring for like during a show, it was when GCW did Warped Tour. I hop in, everyone lights me up with fucking chops. I have purple chest, whatever. They did a second show later on that day, and they had a battle royal. Fremont shows up. It's the first time I ever really like had any type of interaction with Matt. I never really talked to him or anything. He sees me, gets ready to give me a chop, sees my chest, throws an uppercut. Boom! I grab him. We're over in the corner. He's like acting like he's ready to throw me out. I start fighting his fucking forehead. That thing, it's like, it's a little horn, but it's all like rippled and fucking indented, and like, you could sit a quarter in that fucking forehead. Danny Havoc will call it the flux capacitor.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I bit it. I thought about doing it again, and I was like, nah.
You do it once, and you're like, all right.
I did it 4 or 5 years ago. Whenever the Warped Tour was. It was like 2019 I did it. Think about how many times that forehead has been opened up since 2019. Yes. No.
Wow.
Like chewing bubble gum that's been sitting underneath the table for 4 years.
We get to see Tremont live for the first time this summer, and because he doesn't come to Michigan often, so he's coming this summer during SummerSlam weekend, and we're really
you and Josh should tell him that we're good people.
You should tell him that you're good people.
Yeah, just get in his ear. Tell him that we're cool. I mean, if you think we're cool, but whatever.
He's the type of person that, as long as you're like fine or whatever, you walk right up to him, have full conversation with him. He's more than down to earth.
He seems like an extremely giving person, and for what he's did for wrestling, he didn't have to do, and I have nothing but respect for him over that.
Oh, you and me both. When I think about my 3 years of wrestling and like everything I've done in the 3 years, majority of it was at H2O, but everything was because of him. Like he's given me so many opportunities. I was in a ring with fucking Shane Douglas. I had to cut promos on Shane Douglas. You know how hard that was for me? Like, I was shitting cinder blocks, and I was praying he didn't pick the microphone up, because he could have torn me apart.
Oh, yeah. My God.
I was shitting cinder blocks.
You know, I mean, everybody always says Shane was untouchable in his prime, but I'm telling you, I fully believe that anytime Shane wants to, he could turn it on and turn it off. It's a literal switch with him.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the gift of gab, like in-ring work is one thing, but when they got the gift of gab, that don't go nowhere. That
Yeah,
don't go
seriously.
fucking no. Look at everybody that was cutting amazing promos. They could still do it to this very day. You give Ric Flair a microphone, gold. Cornette. I know everyone hates Cornette. I'm big. How ironic is that I'm a big deathmatch fan. I do deathmatch wrestling. I'm a big Jim Cornette fan.
You know, but
I belly laugh at the shit that he says.
Jim Cornette is it could be a work inside of a work, inside of a shoot, inside of a work. You know, like I'm a huge fan of Vince Russo, and nobody on this planet will ever be able to convince me that he's really being serious about being a born again Christian. I think that that's a work, but maybe I'm wrong. But I just think Vince Russo is just like, maybe I'm going to get heat for this, but I think he's great. I can't find anything bad to say about the guy. Love that guy, man.
Listen, I look at it like this. For the people that are like, oh, like they get all offended when you say you like certain people in the business. If you don't know them personally, now granted, okay, there are some, with the exception, like that have fucked up records and whatever. But like, if they didn't do CM Punk, how many people actually like have anything really bad to say like he personally did to them? Not many.
Yeah.
But it's like you get heat because you feel a certain way. Like, nah, dude, I like the dude's fucking wrestling. Dude cuts a great promo. Why are you mad at me and I'm getting ostracized because he's he's one of my favorite wrestlers? Like, it makes no sense.
You know the way the internet is? I mean, like, I don't want to say that it's toxic, but you know, if you were just like, I like CM Punk, I'm like, CM Punk sucks dicks. Francis is just like, you suck dicks. And I'm like, you suck dicks. And then it descends into, that's the internet right there. That literally snapshot right there.
Yeah. Only it turns into not just the two of you going back and forth, but like one of you will have a large group of people that will agree with you, and then they all jump on you. And then it's just like, oh, well, what the fuck? All these anti-bully people are bullying me. What is going on here?
It's like you're part of the Deathmatch Elite Facebook group.
I don't even do. That's the thing. I don't do none of the groups. I barely do Twitter. Like once in a while, I'll tweet something. Most of the time, it's like retweeting or liking something, because it's like every time with Twitter, it's always something. Like you'll see positive shit, but the positive shit will get 15, 20 likes. The negative shit, that motherfucker's at like 250 likes, fucking 800 retweets. It's like, really? Glorify the negative shit and not glorify like this cool shit that's happening.
I like
no matter what you do, you can't.
There's no winning.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I like seeing that you and Jess are like regular, real people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like you don't have to be like caught up in the business. You can be in the business and do your art, and then recede back into real life. And like, I mean, look at where you're at right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling it's not even a thing. You know, you're in and of your own world, and that's nothing cooler than that. You know what I mean?
I think like
you do your art, but you don't live your art. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. But there are some people, and don't get me wrong, you know, it is what it like. Sometimes that's what it takes to succeed. Like, believe your gimmick, fucking live the gimmick, whatever. Look at MJF. MJF is doing an amazing job. But then there's like some people that it's like it bothers them. Like I'll notice like some people like will get bothered if they don't get noticed. Like if nobody recognizes them or anything like that. And it's you think about it. After you leave the wrestling show, the wrestling business isn't what it used to be. It's not a household thing anymore. So it's It's not going to be one of them things you're walking down the street and, hey, ain't you Declan Grant? Like, no, when I'm walking down the street, people either don't say anything to me or they say hi to me. That has nothing to do with being Declan Grant.
See, it in the music business, it's like a saying. Like one of the best things that you could be is to be like a techno DJ that is from the States but popular in Europe. You know what I mean? You go over there and you play like 3 festivals, and then you fuck off into anonymity in America. You know, and nothing better than that. You know?
Yeah, I know. I just the whole people walk around like they're hot shit as wrestlers and stuff like that, or like act ignorant in some way. Like when you say like normal, I'm like a normal person. It's because realistically, yeah, I am
approachable, you know, and we, you know, it's crazy because like I don't know, because we've had our fair share of like run-ins with like real arrogant types, and it's like we don't get it because you know you just shared the ring with this guy, and we just talked cool shit with him, you know, super friendly, and like you're kind of like an asshole. So like,
yeah.
You know, we just move on.
Especially for like an indie wrestler to be super arrogant. Like my whole thing is, if you have a shoot job on top of indie wrestling, don't be arrogant as fuck like you're a big shot indie wrestler, bro, because that's not how you're making your money. You know what I mean? Like unless somebody is full time, how they make their money, pro wrestling, and they're traveling everywhere, they're fucking up and down, killing and whatever. Be as arrogant as you want. Well, I'm just gonna call you an asshole. There's no need to be an asshole, but be as arrogant as you want. You're making all this money doing it. Now, if you're somebody that's only making a couple $100, and come Monday you got to go to your shoot job, there's no need to be arrogant to it because nobody at your fucking job cares what you did on the weekend. I can assure you that.
Yeah.
No matter who you were in that ring with, I guarantee go to work and tell somebody there that doesn't really know. Oh, that's cool. Like nobody cares. No need to be arrogant.
Arguably, somebody that I think I don't know much about his personal life because we've been kind of dancing around each other for about a year now. But like Murdoch, I think he's one. You know, he's one of the best. Right, dude's everywhere. He fucking kills it all the time. Super approachable. Really fucking nice. Right, and I think he fits that structure of like, you know, he's killing it everywhere he goes. He's everywhere. He's popular, but it's like he's still approachable. He's still, you know, willing to have a conversation with anybody.
I thought before you were getting revved up, Francis, I thought you were getting ready to talk shit about somebody. And
no.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm not talking shit about that person.
No, and I was like, are you really going to talk shit about this person on the air right now?
Keeping it positive.
Juicy? Can I know?
Maybe.
Can I know?
Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later.
You've shared the ring with this person. I'll say that. And that says a lot because you've shared the ring with a lot of people. So that's not really
recently.
You've shared the ring with this person. I'll just say that. And, but you shared the ring with a ton of people, right? Both Colger brothers, Murdoch, Schlack, Tremont, Low Life. You shared the ring with a ton of people. So I'm just saying it's a lot of people.
I thought right there, Francis, I thought you were going to sprinkle in the person's name. He didn't. I thought he was going to. I would have busted out laughing and totally taken it away.
I feel like I know who he's talking about.
Afterwards.
You might know.
Afterwards.
I can read people very well.
But, yeah.
But, guys, I'm sorry. I just want to be mindful of the time real quick. Declan, if we end up going over, would you want to come back sometime?
Shit. Give me the heads up. We'll do it in the same setting.
Awesome. Well, if you come back too, then you get to go for the Cage of Doom. We have a weird gimmick that we do with returning guests. And Francis, oh my God, I don't want to spill the beans on this too much and stuff, but I started working on another gimmick to go beyond this, and I'm so excited to tell you what this is, like something better than Cage, like for the next level for the third guest.
The 3 repeats.
Yeah. And
it's going to be Chris from RBW is going to be our third guest.
And it involves a game where you're somebody's tag team partner.
Oh, sweet. Because I'm definitely reliable.
I'm so excited for this one and stuff, but obviously I'll show you an email about it before I spring it on you. Declan, before we get into, we have two last segments that we usually do with our guests. But when we had Jess on, we were talking about. It came up about that you're into conspiracy theories, and I know that we're only going to get to just barely touch on this one really quick. So I just want to throw a couple out at you. Like, I mean, do you find yourself watching UFO shows, or do you read it more, or what?
I'll watch I'll put it on like going to sleep.
Okay.
UFO landings or sightings or ancient aliens, shit like that.
Okay. Well, okay, so I'm going to throw a couple out at you and I want your thoughts on them, okay? So I always give this to people. Bigfoot, fact or fiction?
Um,
There have been Bigfoots, well, not Bigfoot specifically, but the skunk ape out by Jersey. So
I think there is something beefy like that. I don't know if it's that whole video from years ago, Bigfoot walking. To me, it looked like somebody. I've had that costume or had a costume similar that it could have looked like me walking by, So
he kind of did he did kind of have like a little bit of a strut.
He had a strut. You know what I mean? Yeah,
a classy strut.
He had some swag on him. He turned around. He looked like you looking at. He just kept walking. So
he turned around and he was kind of like. He was sort of doing like that. Who are those guys that used to do that shit? The fucking Night at the Roxbury guys. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, you guys are talking about the Patterson Gimlin old school video. Yeah,
Francis. Oh my God.
What?
I can't believe you just dropped that. That's amazing.
That's what it is. If anybody was wondering.
So I have a couple of. I have Loch Ness Monster and Bermuda Triangle, but we're gonna skip those. What do you know about the Black Eye Kids?
Never heard of that one.
Just
inform me a little bit.
You should look it up. There are these stories about people that are alone in parking lots, or on a street, and then they see a kid that comes up to them and asks them for help. They say, "I'm lost. I need help," but their eyes are solid black, and there are all kinds of weird theories about them. But strange enough, I actually saw one a couple of years back. And I right after it happened, I called my wife and I was like, I think I just saw one of those black-eyed kids. And I was driving down the road. I was delivering pizza at the time. And they were standing there and they were watching me and they stared right at me, everything that I did. And they were just really out of place, dressed out of place. But it was something I've never forgotten. You should look up the black-eyed kids. It's going to creep you out, man.
I'm going to look into it. I guarantee I'm going to look into it. Then I'm paranoid every parking lot I end up at.
And then
I'm sorry. I'm swinging. Get close, and I'm swinging.
I went to school with a kid that came in with black eyes. His dad just drank a lot, so that's just where that story ends.
Jesus Christ,
eyeballs? I'm thinking eyeballs black or black he got punched.
No, the white and everything is just solid black. Francis, goddamn, man. That was dark, dude.
Yeah, Jesus, damn. Fucked up. Funny story, though. I had a black eye all throughout sophomore year of high school. Well, the ending of sophomore year, because I started a new school. And it was the school you get sent to when you get kicked out of school. And aren't accepting you. Yeah. One girl said she thought I was a substitute teacher.
What?
She's like, we thought you were a substitute. And then I sat down and I just got punched. What the fuck?
You're skateboarding. You're going to bad kid school, dude. You're bad kid, man.
I was there for 3 or 4 months and then went back to the school that put me out.
Okay.
I know we're going down conspiracy road. You mentioned the skateboarding thing, and I pin noted it in my head. Were you into the CKY Jackass stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I figured.
I actually been to Bam's house a few times. I knew people who had I knew people who had the password to passcode to get into the gate. He actually didn't live there. It was basically for TV because everything inside the house, literally the exact same as every episode of Viva La Bam. There really wasn't furniture or anything like that sitting around. It was basically merchandise and random shit. The Lamborghini was parked one time. There was no keys in it or anything like that. It was just sitting there unlocked. It's what the fuck? it was a weird time when we were kids, but it was cool.
Nothing will be funnier to me than that opening of that CKY video where the guy's like, you know, something you never really see? Somebody running at full speed while taking a shit.
Taking a shit while running at full speed.
I'm
That's
telling
my
you, dude,
favorite.
like, it's so
That is
good.
my favorite. Oh, we were real big on the CKY DVDs, and then when Jackass was coming out, we would go to the movies, see that, and then leave the movie theater throwing ourselves on the floor and down the steps and shit. We were
Yeah,
weird
dude.
kids.
That was such a good time in the world in general, you know?
Mhm.
The early 2000s, man, it seemed like anything and everything was legit, you know?
Now, what's your opinion? Because me and a friend of mine had this conversation about like the comedy movies that came out in that time period, like from the early to like say American Pie till about 2000, and I'll say whenever Ted came out, because I feel like Ted was like the last comedy movie that was actually funny.
I'm going to
Like
say this before Dave gets to say it, but I know Dave loved Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, my God.
I've never seen that.
Declan, please, for the
Never
love of
seen
God,
that.
you know what? But my dad passed away a few years ago, and he was a born again Christian and everything like that. But my dad and I both loved the movie Freddy Got Fingered. Do you know what it's about?
No,
Tom
I've heard
Green.
of it, but I've never seen it.
Tom Green accuses his dad of molesting his little brother as a way to get back at him. And I know it sounds super dark, but it's actually really funny. And then there's also this other whole side plot where he's dating this girl who's paralyzed from the waist down, who can only get off when he smacks her in the knees with a kendo stick. Just for the love of God, watch that movie, please.
I have to get. I think I might need some medical edibles and shit before I give that a watch. Jesus
It's
Christ!
so raw dog. Like, it truly is.
But to your point or question, Declan, yeah, I think Ted was probably like it's very seldomly do we get like one of those comedy type movies that you're talking about. I think American Pie was great and exists in its own time. Go back and watch the first American Pie now. It brings back memory. It doesn't really hold up, you know.
I can
You don't
respect
think
that.
so? Yeah,
I think
so.
they watered down
I feel like movies like Superbad and fucking Step Brothers. I feel like you can go back, watch them, and still laugh like you just fucking seen it for the first time.
Step
At
Brothers.
least to me,
Step Brothers is
those are the
fucking
movies.
amazing.
See, you know what? I hate saying this. Step Brothers makes me feel weird. Now, Superbad, I love Superbad.
You don't like Step Brothers though?
No, it makes me feel weird. I don't know. I'm not really sure why. Everybody in my family, like my brother and sisters, like it. Maybe that's why I don't. I'm like odd man out.
I remember me and my friends would prank call each other at like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning on school nights. Just as soon as somebody would answer the phone, you just recite a line from Step Brothers and hang up on them. People would get so mad. Call Mike, and hang up. Oh, it was beautiful. That or just reciting lines from fucking Superbad. The famous one was nobody's got a blowjob in cargo shorts since Nam. Ever since we heard that, everything that we said was since Nam. Everything. I haven't seen that
That's
since
so awesome.
And I know like he tends to be kind of polarizing, but I feel like a lot of that like that funny zinger type dialogue in like a Superbad is inspired in my opinion, by like the dialogue inside of like Kevin Smith movies, like older Clerks and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like the first Clerks was probably the best. It's hard to say it's the best movie, but in my opinion, it's probably the best movie he made compared to like James and Silent Bob. Like they were good, but I felt like Clerks just was the best one out of all of them.
It set the
Clerks
tone.
2 is okay.
I never. Is that the one where they're like blowing a donkey or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
that's.
it's too much
If
of
you
a
need
stretch.
a little bit more Clerks, it's okay. You know what I mean? But like Mallrats, I like Mallrats. Chasing Amy is another one that makes me feel weird. You know,
Mm.
I bet you like that
One
one,
movie-
Francis, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you really?
It's
Oh,
crazy.
interesting.
There was one movie I loved as a kid, and then like, I forget how long ago it was. I came across it, and I was like, I feel like I can't watch this no more. Have you ever seen Kids?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. That movie is fucked up, man.
Dude, that movie, that was my favorite movie when I was a kid. That was my fucking all-time favorite movie. I watched it maybe a few years ago again, just like stumbled upon it. I'm like, oh shit, they got kids on here? Clicked it. As soon as it started, I'm like, I gotta turn this off. I can't watch this. It's like everything you know about it happens. And it's like,
anything Larry Clark, like you go back and watch, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like it's
fucking
Gummo.
Oh.
Bully, Ken Park, watch Bully and fucking walk away and feel any way about that. Dude, it's
that's one of the reasons I've never seen Joker, because I hear like so many like reactions that it's like, yeah, it's one of them movies where it's just like very depressing and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to walk away feeling like depressed or something like that, or just be like in kind of like a mood. You know, it's not my thing.
One of the worst things about Bully is that it's loosely based on a real crime. So it just you take Larry Clark and all that, and then you just like amplify it. You're like, I need a shower. Like, it's just one of those. Yeah, I don't know. I love the shower,
just like
I love Larry Clark. So yeah.
So Declan, going back to our two end segments, we're coming up to the end of the show. One of them that we always do with people that are kind of new on the show is we talk about the Mount Rushmore of Deathmatch. Would you be interested in doing this with us?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Who do you think belongs up there? You know, the core four, the people that their body of work is undeniable.
Now, this is,
and it can be from any era, and it can also include hardcore, or I mean, whatever you think. You know, for a lot of people, you know, I mean, we've had some people be like Bruiser Brody.
See, now I feel like with them, at least for me, I'll pick the people I grew up watching them, because I feel like when you go down that rabbit hole, you got to put like Cactus Jack, Terry Funk. So then it's like there's 2 slots right there. You have 2 more to fill. But for me, I would say Gage, Tremont, Masada, and Necro.
Wow.
That would be my 4.
I mean, seriously, who else could go on there? You know what I mean? Like, I told you I'm working my way through CZW
there's so
right
many
now.
that can go on there. Mm-hmm.
Necro, I wish I would have respected Necro more. I wish I would have appreciated him more when I was younger, because his body of work is so strong. You know what I mean?
It's I've been on a big kick, especially like in the last like few weeks, like big kick daily, just like different Necro match I'd never seen before, just to watch and start laughing, because it blows my mind that every time it never fails. Somebody does something, he stands straight up with a straight face and just starts just ducking punches. He gets punched in the mouth and everything. He's still throwing fists like this. It's hysterical.
He fucks people up with those fists, and you can see like he's got a big ass fist too, and he's throwing like those like you were saying, like the stiffest shots. He's literally fucking people's lives up.
Yeah, he's catching you on the chin. That's why I'm really curious how a match goes before you go in there with Necro. Like, or I'm curious to like just hear like what he tells somebody before like one of the matches that have no idea. Like, yeah, so punch you in the face a lot. Like, no, I really punch you in the face. And people just like, huh?
We got a glimpse into it when we asked Remington about it, and we kind of did ask, like, because Remington, like, there's a awesome video of Remington almost getting his head knocked off by Necro, and real just like, how did this come about? Like, and he was like, you know, we talked in the back, and you know, he was like, I'm gonna hit you, and Remington's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna hit you back, and he was like, I'm gonna hit you harder, and he's like, I'll hit you harder, and he's like, but then I'm gonna hit you harder, and Remington was like, fuck, he mentioned his fist like being like half the size of his skull, and he was like, he just like, you there's no real way to prepare. He's like, you just know he's going to hit you, and just and you just keep going back and forth.
And take it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you
Hopefully
don't.
you can throw
like,
punches back.
He's not going to stop, right? So he's like, you just know you're never going to win. So
no, and it didn't matter if he was the type. It didn't matter who he was going in there with. Like he worked that style with fucking everybody he got in the ring with. It was like you seen Bryan Danielson covered in blood. You know, damn straight one of them fucking shots opened the top of his head up. Danielson stomping on Necro's face and shit. Necro's still coming at him. Felt like he respected you when you like not went above it maybe, but like we're on the same level as him. Like he set the tone and you're following that tone. Like I feel like he starts to respect you a little more as time goes on. Maybe. I don't know for sure.
It seems like back in the day that was almost a rite of passage, right? If you were
getting beat down by Necro,
yeah, if you were coming up in like those early CZW days and stuff, it's you go toe to toe with Necro and you come out of it and you don't want to like legit shoot on him in the back and you're just like, all right, I feel like there's a respect.
I don't think it's possible to do that. I think Necro whips your ass in the ring to let you know you're not going to be able to shoot on him in the locker room. He's just going to purposely knock you out once you get to the locker room. It's not going to be the gingerly punches.
Man,
those are his working punches in the ring. Don't let him throw a real punch at you.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's CZW back in the day, right?
Man. You just holy shit! What a company, dude.
Yeah, Necro.
Forever. Right? Mm-hmm.
They don't make those companies like they used to. For better or worse, like there's probably things they were doing wrong that won't fly now that are better for the fans and the workers. But they don't make companies like that anymore.
No, not at all. And you think that, like, if you think about it, like, them guys were performing for the crowd. They weren't performing for the people that were getting streamed live. There was no live streaming at the time. There was, like, IPPV. There was, like, shitty quality. So they were out there performing.
Last video, there was no commentary or anything. It was just somebody with one of those big-ass VCR fucking tape recorders walking around the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just got it done. That's how they did it,
They went out there, they tore the shit up just for the people that were there. And shit was awesome. Another person that looked like they had a vicious punch, brain damage.
Oh, man.
For some reason, he just came to mind.
I'm just getting into brain damage right now. And actually, so the one that I just passed, like I was telling you, I was watching that. I just passed the one where I want to say it was Danny Havoc and not sure who else, but they did the double weed whacker on DJ Hyde. Do you know who I'm talking about? Or do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, they tore up DJ Hyde. I mean, like he was, it looked like spaghetti sauce on his fucking chest, man. It was hideous.
DJ used to get the shit beat out of him a lot. It was hysterical. Like when you really think back on it, I feel like he doesn't get too much credit neither. Like no one really wants to like fork over and say, DJ Hyde's did a lot in deathmatch wrestling. Like nobody really. The only tournament of death I went to in Delaware, he got fucking buried in the backyard. I'm like, well, this guy was covered in blood. They're really pouring dirt on him. Yeah. They're really throwing dirt on him and shit. I'm like, this dude really does a whole lot in wrestling, and I feel like he just.
No,
I don't know why. I don't know him. Never dealt with him or anything like that. But yeah, there must be a reason nobody gives him credit.
You know what, Dave?
He shed a lot of gore and blood.
We should get him on and ask him.
Oh man,
Dude, do you remember when Thumbtack Jack hit him with the cinder block?
Yes.
Oh, straight in the face.
He's hard. He's a hard one to pin down, man. We've tried already a couple times.
Yeah.
So well, we'll see. Hey, you know what? It's persistence, Declan. That's the one thing you can't ever give up, man.
No. Hey, like shit, I didn't. Yeah, I wrestled.
There you go. Right.
At one point.
Speaking of, so we have our last segment that we do. All you.
Yep. And we ask everybody this, and everybody's answers is always different, or are always different. I don't know. English is not my first language. But Declan, we kind of mentioned earlier, you've been wrestling for about 7 years. But if you could go back to the day of your very first match and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I've only been wrestling for 3 years. It's just breathe, really. Because like when I think back to my very first like one-on-one wrestling match, it just the only thing I could think of is how hot it was in there and like just how fucking blown up I was within 6 minutes of wrestling. I guess just pace yourself and breathe. That's all I can really say.
There is some thick ass air in the wrestling place. Like when we go to shows, you know, I mean, you're breathing everybody else's mouth and nose air. So, you know, like everybody's just like, can't wait for that intermission. But I imagine cardio's probably got to be pretty fucking high on the list for things that you should do as a wrestler.
Very high
right?
on the list.
Are you a
very
cardio
high.
guy?
Mainly, it's not the greatest because of, you know, extracurricular activities, but you know, it's pretty good for what it is. I'm not one of them people that's, nor do I look forward to running like a 30-40 minute wrestling match. So I'm one of your 20-minute, you know, soldiers. I'll keep it in that area. But
How would you feel about doing the Iron Man 60-minute match? Do you think you could pull one of those off? 60 minutes is a long time.
I feel like if I really like if I started like training harder than like my usual, just, you know, basic calisthenics, then I feel like I would be able to pull it off. But at this very moment, no shot. No shot.
I always wondered how those guys could do that back in the day. Like, I mean, like, no offense to Ric Flair or anything, but I mean, he's never had like an Adonis type body. You know what I mean? But he's did 60 minutes in the ring. I fucking go up and down flights of stairs at my old apartment, and I would be like, you know, even when I wasn't a smoker.
Now, like, the thing is, though, with
running stairs, Francis,
being in the ring, it's like,
No, I was trying not to cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're good. I've been rambling this whole time. Please cut me off already.
Oh, it's all good. So, Declan, where are people going to find you and bother you?
You can find me and bother me at H2O. Find me and bother me on Instagram at the Grimy Bastard. Twitter at the same thing, and I don't know if I have a Facebook. I don't do Facebook. So I don't
Are
know
you the most active on Instagram?
Yeah. I'd rather see videos than read people's fucking
every thought.
You know,
Yeah.
Every fucking thought. I took a shit this morning. That's great.
Got to tell you, I love the whole Grimy Bastard name. That is fucking great, man.
Thanks. If you try to ask where the origin came from, I have no idea. It's just.
Did somebody call you that, or did you just say that's who I am?
I fucked it. I don't even know. I might have heard it in a song, maybe. Like because somebody asked me before, like, well, where'd you come up with that? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like everybody I grew up around and like where I came from, it's like we were kind of the bad kids, you know. They had the athletic kids playing sports, and then you had us sitting over in the corner smoking weed. So like we were kind of grimy in a way. So I guess the Grimy Bastard grew up. So that's where. Wow. Now thinking about it, I guess that's a pretty good thing to say. All right.
That's
if someone asked me, I'm gonna start saying that.
Story. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that, man. That's great. So Declan, that's pretty much the end of the show, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit.
And you got to come back.
Super cool guy, man.
You got to come back. We didn't even talk about wrestling blindfolded. Like.
Forgot all about that myself.
I did. That was literally the one thing I had written down here. So come back and
Oh,
we got to
oh.
talk wrestling blindfolded.
Sounds good. Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
awesome.
didn't even mention me getting hit by a car or nothing.
Yeah, my God, man. Okay, so well, I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, that our show doesn't actually have an ending. It literally is like a car crashing into a tree. Like you look down at your phone for a second, and all of a sudden, boom, and $700 worth of body damage, and the show ends. So,
Nice.
That's how we do
Right?
things. Yeah,
is that
pretty much.
accurate?
We just end it. Like we just ramble it,
Sounds
and
pretty
Dave
good to
just
me.
Dave picks a spot and just edits it, and just.
It's just- so that really is the end. Declan, just hang out really for 1 second, okay? Don't go anywhere, okay?
I got it.
All right, but other than that, Francis, my man, Spooky Dust Podcast with Declan Grant. We out.
Later.